Hello everyone, Literary Duo warmly welcomes you all. This is Biraj. I'm going to talk about the social and political background of the prologue to the Canterbury Tales written by Geoffrey Chaucer. Let me tell you first a little bit about the life of Geoffrey Chaucer and the literary period he belongs to. Chaucer was a medieval man. He was born in the early 1340s. His family was prosperous enough, and his father, John Chaucer, was a wine merchant, and his father was a keen connection to the royal court of Edward III. And later on, we see that in 1360, when Chaucer was captured by the French army during the Hundred Years' War, Edward the Edward III himself contributed the ransom to the free Chaucer. So this is an indication that Chaucer and his family had a keen connection to the royal court. And later on, we see that in 1360s, he was appointed as a diplomat to France and Italy. In the meantime, he gradually gained a vivid knowledge of the foreign culture, foreign art, foreign literature, and he met with many leading writers of Italy and France. Later on, in 1385, he was appointed Justice of Peace for Kent, and in 1386, he sat in Parliament of Knight of the Shire. During his whole span of life, he retained his links with three monarchs: Edward III, Richard II, and Henry IV. He died in 1400. He died in 1400 and was buried in the Westminster Abbey. So we know that Chaucer belongs to Middle English period. This period was a period where we we witness a galling contrast of society and overall the political changes. Rather, we can say rapid changes in political arena. The late 14th century was a chaotic time in England. The Catholic Church was undergoing huge shifts and changes. After the horrors of Black Deaths, after the horrors of Black Deaths, many were questioning against the church authority and many were revolting against the church authority. In the meantime, there occurred a rapid changes in the social hierarchy also. There arise, uh, there arise a new middle class where Chaucer belongs to, and they acquired the power and they tried to overpower the people of the lower class, and that is how moral degradation was perceived in the people of new middle class. And Chaucer amusingly depict and satirize the conventions of these turbulent times. Why I'm why I'm telling this time as turbulent time, because there occurs many unprecedented situation like 100 years wars, like Black Death, like present movements. So the society was completely degraded morally. Okay, and as I said, that Chaucer had painted realistically all the follies of the then society. So if we go through the Canterbury Tales in detail, we will find that Chaucer had rightly satirized and mocking the contemporary society and the people of that contemporary period. And he has presented this kind of follies through the character of the monk, the friar, the summoner, the pardoner, and the person. So it can be said that this is a this is not a good time at all. So in political arena, a rapid change occurred, as well as in the social strata. So that's all I have to say. Now I would hand it over to my patron Masud to carry forward the rest of the discussion. For now, thank you.
Hello. After a very informative and productive lecture by my friend Viraj, I'm here to discuss the literary and religious background of Geoffrey Chaucer's The Prologue to the Canterbury Tales. And we need to know who is Chaucer, what is the Prologue to the Canterbury Tales at the very first, uh, why we consider Geoffrey Chaucer as the father of English literature, why Canterbury Tales is considered as his masterpiece. Okay, so Chaucer put an impact on English literature, uh, what is unfathomable and what we can't forget any day. So uh, on that contemporary society where Chaucer established English language and then literature, it was amazing and mesmerizing. Why? Because on that contemporary society, French language was dominating English language for I think 2 centuries after the Norman conquest against against the uh, Germanic Anglo-Saxon language. And to talk about the religious background, we need to discuss the cosmological belief on that of that contemporary people, what they were believing about the universe. They believed that there were two major beliefs actually. One is that God is the center, God created everything. Okay, God is the center, God created everything. Another belief was that uh, God is at the top, and by a chronological or hierarchical level, we and the and all the universe is created. Okay, like at the very top, God is there, then angel, then man, then animal, and then the inanimate objects. And this cosmological belief was influenced by Ptolemaic belief. Okay, Ptolemy was a Egyptian astronomer who introduced the introduced the universe to the world that mm, like uh, uh, like the earth is at the center, and other nine crystal are moving around this earth. But this is not right, but it was considered uh, as right because it could match the belief of Christianity. Okay, but at the 16th century, where Copernican theory was coming out, it was fiercely rejected by the people because it was not matched with the beliefs of Christianity. Okay, in Copernicus theory, we now it is generally accepted. We can find that the sun is at the center and the other are moving around it. Okay, so it was the basic cosmological belief of that era. But what is important here is the hierarchy, the chronology, or the hierarchical stages. Okay, this structure, why it is important, because this hierarchy is also used by Chaucer in his the prologue to the Canterbury Tales or to the Canterbury Tales. While he was constructing the characters, he maintains this hierarchy. Okay, like the social in society, there was a hierarchy. The king will be at the top, who is considered as the representative figure of God, and then there will be the knight patrons, then aristocrats, then middle class, then common peoples, and lower class. This is the hierarchy, and this hierarchy is maintained by Chaucer while constructing the characters. That is why this cosmological belief and this hierarchy concept of hierarchy is important here. Now we have discussed Ptolemy, Copernicus, and hierarchy, and what it means also. And then what was, and to talk about the writings of that era, we should mention that the first and foremost motive of writing was to spread the religious thinking, the spiritual thought, the biblical tales. These all. In the Old English period and in the Middle English period, the first and foremost motive of writing was to spread Christianity, to spread religious thinking. Okay, but Chaucer was the man who uh, demolished these constructed ideas. He breaks the conventions. Okay, somehow, though he maintains the structure, the well planned things, but he demolished the thematic ideas, the constructions of the Canterbury Tales. Like he used rhyming or poetic language in Canterbury Tales, the language of 13th century London and court language. Okay, court language. Okay, uh, actually, on that era, now why every literary pieces were concerned with religion? Why it is this? If we ask this question, then we will find the answer that churches were at the core. Every literary texts were sponsored by churches. Okay, they had to take permission from the church to publish the text, spread the text. That's why religious was at the center. But gradually in the 13th century and in the Middle English period, the power of Catholic Church was somehow degraded. While the Black Death coming up in England, first of the third, first out of third, one out of third population of England died, and then people begins to suspect on church, because church was so wealthy by taking tithes from people. Okay, and the church people, like patrons, the monk, everyone was were busy taking the bribes. They were, in our word, corrupted. every uh, every churches, each and every churches were corrupted by the by the materialistic uh, need of their black soul by the Black Death. That's why I think that's why the Black Death came up to England, and a lots of millions of people died. And then, while the power of churches is going away, Chaucer was coming off on that era, while the gradual changes is going on the society. Okay, now while English language is taking over the language of French. Okay, that's why he took English language uh, as his medium to express or to write his writings. And this was the religious kind of religious background of that era. Now I would like to take, or I'd like to talk about the language and literature. So what was the language of England in the Old English period? It was the language of Anglo-Saxons. After 450, Anglo-Saxons, the Germanic tribe, invaded England and established the language of Anglo-Saxons. Then, in the Middle English period, in the year of 1088, maybe, French, or the Norman tribe, invaded England and established French language. And for 2 centuries, English language was demolished somehow. Okay, it couldn't take the prime stage in the society. But in the 13th century, the changes came up, and Chaucer was somehow able to write or establish English literature. He proved that English can be a worthy language for writing literature. And then uh, in the not in the 13th century, but in the 14th century, and revival of English, it can be said that it is a revival of English language. Okay. And talk about the oral, to talk about the literature of that era in Old English period and in modern in Middle English period. Every literatures, most of the literatures were written orally, not sorry most of the literatures were constructed orally. Okay, spreaded orally, not written literature was there. Okay, there were many writers, but they were not well known uh, because they created the literatures orally, not on a paper. But while Chaucer is coming up, Chaucer breaks the conventions and begins to write. And he was well established by he he gained a position in society. His father was kind of well established, and he had a position in the royal court also. So it was an advantage of Chaucer to establish or to write English literature and the Canterbury Tales. And the contemporary literature of that era, sorry, the contemporary literatures were different from Chaucer's writings, because Chaucer was writing poetically. Okay, rhyme and rhythm was there in Chaucer's writing. That is why Chaucer is widely read throughout the whole world now. And to sum up what I have said here, and to sum up the whole lecture, I have to memorize, or I would like to memorize a quote of William Blake, who said in the 18th century that every age is a Canterbury pilgrimage. We all pass on, each sustaining one or other of these characters. Nor can a child be born who is not one of these characters of Chaucer's. If you want to evaluate the profundity or the unfathomable beauty of Chaucer, then you can find the universal and timeless appeal of Chaucer in his writings. Okay, the no nor can a child be born uh, without echoing his characters in the characters of Chaucer, with the characters of Chaucer. So Chaucer wrote his writing universally, and it has a timeless appeal. You can't ignore Chaucer. William Blake said this, and I believe this. If we evaluate the writings of Chaucer keenly, then we will also have to agree with this comment. So that was all for me. If I and Biraj, my friend, did any mistake, then we beg sorry for it. Okay, we'll see you in the next video.